The Philadelphia 76ers are heading into the 2026 NBA season with a chip on their shoulder as they are looking to bounce back from a season where they went 24-58, were plagued with injuries, and had to deal with an assortment of roster construction issues and outside noise that made that year a clear-cut example of everything that would go wrong, going wrong in the worst way possible. I mean, the Sixers, they had to end up tanking midway through the season, and of course, they're not looking to repeat the events of last season. They are looking to compete for a championship and restore faith within this fan base. And if you watch the majority of last season, like I did, like a true Sixer sicko, you know that there are key issues, fundamental issues the team has that they need to address. They need to get down. They need to improve on if they have any shot of being a legit contender in the Eastern Conference. And we're going to go over all three of those here on NZ for 3. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you're new around here. But let's get right down to business. The first weakness the Sixers need to address that's actually not a part of this list is Embiid and Paul George's health, of course. So we just got to get that out of the way. Embiid and Paul George, they need to be healthy if the Sixers want to have a shot at competing for a championship. I did not want to include it on the list because it kind of would have been too easy. I just want to stick it to clear, a basketball perspective. So my actual first weakness the Sixers need to improve on, it is shooting, specifically 3-point shooting. Now, the Sixers last year, they ranked 17th in the league in 3-point attempts, which is decent volume, 37 threes a game. That's around league average. But when you look at the percentage they shot 34% from beyond the arc, and that is 27th in the league. For reference, the league average 3-point percentage is 36%. They shot 34%. They got to get that up. Kelly Oubre Jr., Trendon Watford, you need to hit open threes. When you have a player like Joel Embiid that is so dominant, you need to have guys, you need lethal weapons who are able to make the other team pay for doubling and triple teaming Joel Embiid, given that Embiid, he has improved a lot as a playmaker. And the Sixers, when it comes to catch and shoot threes, they are ranked 24th in catch and shoot attempts, but only 24th in 3-point percentage, catch and shoot percentage at 36%, with the league average catch and shoot percentage being 37%. So for reference, there were 4 teams last season that shot over 30 catch and shoot threes a game. The Chicago Bulls, the Boston Celtics, the Nets, and the Warriors. They all either shot around the same percentage as the Sixers or better. So the Sixers, given how much space Embiid takes in the interior and how much the defense is focused on him, having guys who can be swung the rock and sling it at will and efficiently and quickly, that is extremely important. I mean, that was the reason why they brought Paul George here, was because he was one of the most effective catch and shoot 3-point shooters in the entire league. And of course, just because you shoot a lot of threes doesn't mean you're going to be a good team. That's not my point. I mean, the Bulls and the Nets are poverty franchises, and they shot a lot of threes. My point is, though, when you have a player like Joel Embiid who gets a lot of attention, and in a game that has prioritized the 3-ball, and Embiid is an interior-oriented player, you need floor spacing. You cannot have a clogged floor. You cannot give the defense an excuse to keep doubling Embiid without giving them any, vulnerability, without making them pay for, sending extra men towards them. You need guys who could capitalize on that wide open space. And I mentioned Kelly Oubre already. I mentioned Trendon Watford. Guys like those who are below average 3-point shooters, you need to be able to hit open threes. If they aren't able to, they need to get benched. I'm sorry. At this point, you cannot have so many non-shooters on this team like the Sixers have had for years. And they do have good shooters, to be honest. I mean, Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, Justin Edwards, Quentin Grimes, and Paul George. They are known for being effective 3-point shooters, and that is, something Daryl Morey has done. He has given Embiid a good amount of shooters, but there are still players on this team that need to prove themselves a little bit, like VJ Edgecombe. If VJ Edgecombe, if he can at least be a threat, of course it's his rookie season, but if he can hit a wide open 3, that will really help him get more playing time and help the Sixers offense in plenty of ways. Now, am I saying that the Sixers should just chuck threes all game and be first in 3-point attempts and catch and shoot attempts? No, I mean, No, they should not have their entire offense be revolved around the three ball. I'm just saying that given that this is probably the most talented shooting team Embiid has ever played with, if Paul George can get right and Jared McCain, if he can stay healthy, and last year McCain, whenever he shot the ball, is automatic. And Embiid, he has some units around him from the 3-point line, and they need to capitalize on that. I need to see that volume and that efficiency go up. Coming in at number 2, and this is probably for a lot of fans the biggest issue for the Sixers heading into this season. It is rebounding. Rebounding has always been a problem with the Sixers for these past couple of years. They have been one of the worst rebounding teams in the league, and they made it even worse last season when they would play Gershon Yabusele at center, and Andre Drummond was washed and had a toe injury or something, and Adem Bona was not getting minutes because Nick Nurse's Doc Rivers 2.0. The Sixers last season were among the worst, probably the worst rebounding team I've ever seen, and the stats back it up. Anyone who watched last year, they would say that that was probably the worst rebounding team they ever saw. So the Sixers last season, they had the worst total rebounding rate in the entire NBA. So the Sixers secured the least amount of rebounds in the league last season at 47%. Horrible. And if you think that's bad, check out this next stat. They had the worst opponent offensive rebounding rate. The Sixers were the worst offensive rebounding team, or they let up the most amount of offensive rebounds last season. And it's that, I mean, that stat is an exact mirror of how the Sixers were last season. They could not do anything. They were helpless on the glass. I mean, playing Gershon Yabusele at center is one thing, but also playing Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, Reggie Jackson in 3-guard lineups as well. You just can't do that. You need to have Adem Bona be the backup center. And Embiid, I don't know, given his lift anymore, if, you know, I think he's kind of declined as a rebounder throughout his career, but Embiid, having him healthy, that's going to be a big help. But having someone like Adem Bona to take over those backup center minutes, that will be huge, because that's literally the name of his game, man. He's a much better Paul Reed. He's a better version of Paul Reed. I think he's stronger, he's faster, and he has more leap. He's more athletic. Of course, he still needs to clean up on his fouling, but Adem Bona, he can rebound the basketball. He crashes the boards. He is aggressive. He is physical, and that is what the Sixers need. They need guys who can rebound the basketball, who could box out, and Nick Nurse, he needs to make that a priority, because last season was inexcusable given how lazy they were on the boards, and that's kind of what happens when you have a bunch of decrepit players on the court who can't move anymore. So hopefully Nick Nurse, unlike Doc Rivers, hopefully Nick Nurse, he learns his lesson and starts playing some younger players. And the Sixers, the more, it's kind of just like any team in general, the more offensive rebounds you give up, the more energy that is wasted playing defense. You have to outscore your opponent. And the Sixers, if they can get rebounding down, that has really been the one demon they have just never figured out, in squashing, aside from, health and shooting. They have never been a really trustworthy rebounding team. If they can get that down, if they could find, you don't even have to be the best rebounding team in the league. Just don't be the worst. Just don't have the worst total rebounding percentage and the worst opponent offensive rebound percentage. I think I'll go back to the Knicks series a couple of years ago. I mean, the Knicks, they were winning games off of second chance points. And last season, the Sixers ranked 25th in second chance points. And you can't be letting these teams get these free points just because they're out hustling you. You need to box out. You can't have a bunch of old players on the court. Nick Nurse, please play younger players. The third and final biggest weakness the Sixers have coming into this season is perimeter and transition defense. And you're probably wondering already, NZ, why aren't you going to talk about rim defense? I mean, it was a layup line last season with Yabu playing center and Embiid looking cooked, and Andre Drummond and Adem Bona barely playing. And I agree. I mean, the Sixers, I'm not going to say they were a good rim protecting team throughout these past couple of years, and especially last season. I just think that with Embiid coming back, he's going to look a lot better than he was last year. Last year he was clearly injured. That's not the Embiid we're going to see this year. Hopefully, I'm just being optimistic. Embiid, when he's on the court, he's one of the best rim protectors in the league. And of course, there are questions regarding his lift and all that, but that his ability to, defend the rim is one thing, but if the perimeter defense collapses, Embiid has to do so much more when it comes to stepping up and defending other players and jumping out for contests and all of that. And, that's when things can break down. And perimeter and transition defense defense, that is a bigger weakness for the Sixers and something I want to see them improve on more than at the rim. And last season, they were 18th in fast break points allowed per game, which, on the surface, it's decent. At least they're not last. But what they are dead last in once you adjust for play style, because a lot of these stats when it comes to, opponent offensive rebounds per game or defensive rebounds per game, it depends a lot on, defenses, how good defenses are at forcing missed shots and, play, pace of play and stuff like that. But these, per possession type of stats, they kind of level everything out. And the Sixers were dead last in fast break points per possession last season, meaning it basically describes how many points per fast break possession that the Sixers allowed. And they allowed 2.162, dead last, 30th in the NBA. What's really interesting about this stat is that there has not been a single year this decade where the Sixers were not in the bottom 5, meaning that the Sixers were among the worst or the worst fast break defense team in the entire NBA. And there are a lot of reasons for that. One of the reasons is the fact that the Sixers have always been decrepit and slow and defer to a lot of veterans and play too many veterans. And that has been the philosophy of Nick Nurse and Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey. And, also given that Joel Embiid, he's not really the type of player to, hustle out and transition. I'll knock him on that. Hopefully he kind of tunes that up. We have seen pictures of him slimming down, and that, those pictures and the Sixers fans reactions to that at that point, that is literally, the same thing as Ben Simmons' summer jump shot workout videos, just false hope. I got to see it on the court till I'll believe it. I am just optimistic though that hopefully I see that. And the Sixers, if they can, dive in more to youth, we already mentioned Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, playing last season. That can't happen. You know what I mean? That cannot happen. Jared McCain, Tyrese Maxey, they're not good perimeter defenders, but they're a lot better than those two. And Quentin Grimes and VJ Edgecombe, they are, good perimeter defenders. I think, VJ, we got to see on the court first, but, that's what he was known for in college, as being a pretty good ball hawk defender and a good defensive playmaker. Quentin Grimes as well, really athletic, really good at moving his feet and sticking to his man. So the Sixers, they do have the tools. Oh, Justin Edwards too, he's fine, he's average. So the Sixers, they have the tools to be at least a respectable fast break defense team. I think if Embiid can just hustle more and, Trendon Watford, Jabari Walker, they can, hold their own as well. It won't be as much of a problem. Perimeter defense too, I think it's kind of the same thing. It's just last season, the more I looked at these numbers, the deeper I got into it, sort of like the more worried I became in, how just clear it was just how terrible the Sixers are when it comes to allowing these teams to torch them from the 3-point line. So the Sixers, they were ranked 24th in opponent points from three-pointers at 43 points per game. Combine that with them being ranked 25th in opponent percent of points from threes at 37%, that paints a picture of the fact that these teams, they are shooting more when they play against the Sixers. That says a lot, and that more of their points are coming from three-pointers when they play the Sixers as opposed to other teams. That says a lot about the Sixers' defensive weaknesses, and no one should be surprised by this. When you keep putting players out there who are unathletic and old, Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, Furkan Korkmaz, PJ Tucker, I could probably name so many more. You can probably name more. When you keep playing these type of players, you're going to get torched. You're going to make it harder for Embiid to carry the defensive load when you have guys who keep getting blown off by the dribble and cannot close out on threes and overhelp and all of that. It's a Nick Nurse. He needs to figure out eventually, hopefully, or if he wants to keep his job at least, that he needs to be playing guys like VJ Edgecombe. He needs to be playing guys like Quentin Grimes and younger guys, just Adem Bona especially. I mean, Adem Bona, I think he could do a lot more. He could be a lot better in the pick and roll than Andre Drummond can at that point in in his career. And of course, Embiid, when he goes on the bench, of course, they're going to be worse, because that is how amazing Joel Embiid is at the game of basketball. But you need to be able to hold your own when he's not on the court, and when you're not putting your team in the best position by putting the best possible players out there, of course you're going to be at a huge disadvantage, because the other team, they're not going to uphold any punches. They're going to exploit you. And the Sixers, they just kept relying on veteran players and these backup centers that are just ineffective. And maybe Adem Bona might be another flash in the pan. Like, I mean, we thought Paul Reed was good, but when he got, a good amount of run, he really wasn't that good at all. I mean, he was pretty much useless in the Knicks series, to be honest. And I think Adem Bona, he's a lot more physically imposing. And I trust him. Trust him more than Andre Drummond. He should be the definite, backup center. Kelly Oubre, if he wants to get time on the court, he needs to be good on defense. He needs to use his athleticism. He needs to close out. He can't be ball watching. This entire team can't be ball watching constantly. And if you're not going to be hitting your threes, you got to at least be holding your own on the perimeter. And if the Sixers, they can have at least an above average perimeter defense, they can have one of the best defenses in the league. That's not really a hard ask given the talent on this team. Bringing Quentin Grimes back, bringing in a guy like VJ Edgecombe, young backcourt players who can defend the perimeter and defend a lot of these fast ball handlers that can help the Sixers out. They really have not had that in the entire, Joel Embiid era. I'm going to be talking about the Sixers a lot this season. Should be a really interesting season, and I am excited for Sixers basketball. I have sounded negative in my past couple of videos, but I love the Sixers. I love the Sixers, man. I'm a Sixers fan. I gotta have hope. I gotta have hope. Is it warranted? Is it justified? Definitely not. But come on, man. Like, it's not fun just to be negative all the time. Like, I want to see VJ Edgecombe dunk all over Ace Bailey. But yeah, I mean, that's just me. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Hit that like and subscribe button if you're new around here. But that's all I got. I hope y'all have a good one. Peace.